What's goody? It's your host Jay Rose as always, and we are back with our position rankings, and this might be the most stacked position so far. The forward bigs, the power forward position. Let's get into it. Over 90% of the people that watch my content are not subscribed, so if you're messing with the videos, please hit that sub button and the noti bell so you'll get notified every time I upload. But let's get back to the hoops. The first player on our list is Jaren Jackson Jr. from the Memphis Grizzlies, averaging 22.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per game. You can also add along 1.6 blocks per game as well and 1.2 steals. The former defensive player of the year this year came out and without Ja Morant upped his scoring, upped his numbers, but I'm just not very impressed with Jaren Jackson Jr. He did up his numbers, but I feel like that's due mostly to him getting more shots and not due to him really advancing his all-around offensive game. Also, his rebounding is still atrocious. I feel like for a guy who's supposed to be your defensive stopper, your possession closer, to only be able to grab 5 rebounds is not the greatest, especially when there's not a center on that team that really should be taking rebounds away from you. Like, who do they have? They traded Steven Adams away, right? So they have Brandon Clark, and now they have Zach Edey, so that would change things. But I just haven't really been impressed with Jaren Jackson Jr. from a rebounding standpoint. I'm not really impressed with his offensive repertoire either. He did put up the points, so I have to give him the credit for that. Definitely did up his numbers, up his play, but I just don't think it was this huge leap that I really thought he can take with given the minutes and given the opportunity. So we're gonna leave him here at 10. At number 9, off the Utah Jazz, we have Lauri Markin. You can definitely argue me higher for Lauri Markin, 24 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game, and 2 assists per game. Also, while being one of the best shooting bigs in the league, shooting 40% from 3, 48% from the field. I think he can do a lot of different things. He can put the ball on the floor. His driving and attack game is very strong, and obviously, like I said, his shooting game is also very strong, shooting 40% from 3. I do think he could shoot a little bit higher from the field, 48% while shooting 40% from 3. You could get that just a little bit up, be part of that 50-40 club. But hey, like I said, Lauri Markin, great numbers. You could argue me higher, and the only reason why I don't have him higher personally is because he's on the Jazz, and I just feel like Lauri Markin's not a number one option type of player, and this is what his numbers look like as a number one option. So I feel like when in a winning situation, when we can really put him to the test and see what his numbers on the impact look like, I think they'll be slightly lower. I just don't think he's proven much yet, being that he's on the Jazz. Not to say these are empty stats by any means. I think he actually does help the Jazz a lot, and I think they would be way worse if he didn't do what he does. I have him at this 9 spot. At number 8, my favorite Beyblade from the Indiana Pacers, we have Pascal Siakam. 21.3 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game. I feel like he really meshed super well with this Indiana offense. I think that was exactly the trade that they needed to make. They needed a guy to come in and really score the ball and give you these sparks where you had holes in your offense, and I think that's exactly what Pascal Siakam is doing. He's coming into this team, meshing really well with Halliburton, fitting into his role, and when they needed offense really bad, Reese couldn't get anything going for anyone else or himself. Here comes Pascal Siakam. He can get to the rim, he can pull up for mid-range, he can hit the 3 occasionally, and I think that was very important and a very key piece to Indiana, and I think they'll be a super hard team to deal with in the Eastern Conference this next season if they can stay healthy. So I think Pascal Siakam's addition is amazing. I feel like his numbers could be a little bit better, especially with a playmaker like Reese on your team who's a pass-first guy. I do think though that points per game can go up a little bit, possibly even the assists per game with the style of basketball that they play in Indiana. But either way, Pascal Siakam, super great addition, number 8 on my power forwards list. At number 7 is a guy who I don't know how to feel about these days. Zion Williamson, averaging 22.9 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, and 5 assists. I really thought that Zion could be the guy, and I do to some extent still think that, but we saw an entire portion of the season where Zion was out of shape. He was very slow, very sluggish. He couldn't get anything to go. People were not bouncing off of him like they usually do because the speed just wasn't there. They had him playing from the top of the key and he wasn't moving correctly, so it just wasn't really working out with his play style. I think Zion needs to come in, be on his P's and Q's, be really in shape, and then we can start having those conversations. But even at that point, when he is in shape, he can't stay on the court. I was so heartbroken after that play-in game with the Lakers where he almost beat the Lakers, spearheading this Pelicans team to an almost win against the Lakers, and then he gets hurt, and that just shuts the door on his entire playoff run. I don't think Zion has played a playoff game yet. He's played the equivalent of 2.2 seasons in his first 5 years. I'm very disappointed in what Zion is turning into in the first 5 years of his career, and I really do hope he can turn it around and these injuries slow down just a little bit, because it's really ridiculous how his career has started. I expect a lot more than 22 points per game from Zion. I expect him to not come in and be so out of shape the entire first half of the season. I expect him to make all-star games and all of those things like that. But yeah, it just didn't happen for him this year. At my number 6 spot, we have Julius Randle, averaging 24 points per game, 9.2 rebounds per game, and 5 assists per game. He also made an all-star team. I feel like these are amazing numbers for a second option on this New York Knicks team, with Jalen Brunson obviously being the number 1. Honestly speaking, I think Julius Randle could have easily been top 5, but he only played 40 games. We didn't really see him much since the All-Star break. He made the All-Star team. He tore something in his shoulder. He tried to let it heal, and then I don't know if he maybe re-injured it or found out that it wasn't healing correctly, but towards the time when the playoffs was coming around, he decided to then get the surgery, which put him out for the entire playoffs. So we didn't see a lot of Julius Randle this year, and that's the only reason I have him at the 6th spot. I feel like if we would have gotten to see him play out the season and the numbers look the same and we saw him in the playoffs, that this could have been different. He could have been a little bit higher. But either way, I feel like Julius Randle, giving you the production that he does, the points, I'm not the biggest fan of his play style. I think he's a little bit of a shot chucker, but either way, he's giving you 24 points, which is amazing as a second option. He's giving you 9.2 rebounds as your power forward. So with that and your center giving you rebounds, that's a lot of rebounds. He's a real big body down low, and 5 assists is really nothing to scoff at either for a player who I feel like doesn't even pass as much as he should. So I feel like Julius Randle honestly is one of the better power forwards in the NBA. If he played, he could have easily been number 5 and giving me discussions for higher. Maybe not, because those guys in that top 4 are some ballers for real. But yeah, Julius Randle absolutely has been one of the best power forwards in the league, even on a year where he wasn't shooting the ball as well as he should have been. His 3-point percentage went down again. But either way, his production has been good, and I'm very excited for what him and this Knicks team can do in this upcoming season. At number 5, I have one of the most underrated players in the NBA, in my opinion, off of the Orlando Magic. We have Paulo Borero, who averaged 22.6 points per game, 6.9 rebounds, and 5.4 assists. He's really just a Swiss Army knife in every sense of the word. I feel like he's been a ball handler for this team, even though I feel like he should take more of a backseat ball handling role and more focused on his scoring and defense. They do need to get like a facilitating and or high scoring guard to really offset the amount of time that Paulo has the ball in his hand, like bringing it up the floor and stuff like that. But either way, he's really good at it. 5.4 assists, 6.9 rebounds, and I feel like Paulo, he just does it all on the floor. And then we really saw that in the playoffs when he upped his numbers to 27 points per game and 8 rebounds. He also made the All-Star team this year, and like I said, you can argue me Julius over Paulo, but I just feel like Paulo, first of all, he played the season. He finished the season. He went in the playoffs. He upped his play, and that's really what it is for me. I feel like him going into the playoffs, and even with other players like Franz Wagner struggling and his guards not really being able to get it going, Paulo put that team on his back and made it really, really hard for the Cavaliers to get out of that series. So I have to give Paulo a lot of credit for that. Paulo's been a dog. I feel like coming off of that, such a good season for him, I feel like his numbers are definitely going to go up next year. Around maybe 25 points per game, and maybe everything else stays more or less the same, but I definitely do think he'll be up around 25 points per game, and maybe even 6 assists. We'll see. They got KCP on the team, so that's even more opportunity for him to get the ball to somebody who can put it in the hoop, even if it is just a 3-and-D guy. But I do have Paulo at number 5, and I think the future for Paulo in the Magic is very promising. Here's where people are going to start getting mad. I'm letting you know right now that you're going to get mad. From this point on, you're going to get mad at every single selection except for maybe number 1. At number 4, off the Phoenix Suns, we have Kevin Durant averaging 27 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, 5 assists. He made an all-star team. He made all-NBA second team. He's almost part of the 50-40-90. He got 50-40-85. He also kept his play pretty steady in the playoffs when the rest of his team couldn't get much going. And honestly, Kevin Wayne Durant, what more can we say about the dude, bro? One of the most lethal scorers in the NBA. I feel like he also added some layers to his game. His assist work was pretty decent last year, 5 assists per game, 6.6 rebounds, and on a team that really needs the playmaking and really needs the rebounds, that helps out a lot. I don't know what it is about Kevin Durant. I feel like at this point in his career, the numbers are still there, the efficiency is still there, the scoring is still there, but as a whole, I'm not sure if he's best as your one option. I'm really not sure if that's really the best way to go. That might be very unfair to say considering how Devin Booker and Bradley Beal played this year, that you could definitely argue me that KD is easily a number one option in this league. And I tend to agree, especially looking at his numbers, it's hard to say he's not. But when it gets on the court and it's game time and we gotta win this series, KD has not been able to do it since that Milwaukee Bucks series. He just hasn't. And sometimes it's been his fault, sometimes it's been his teammates' fault, sometimes it's been both, but it's not equating to getting to the next round. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I was expecting so much from KD leaving Golden State. I was expecting to see at least a conference finals appearance. We almost got it, but we haven't. And he just lost to Ant Edwards and the Timberwolves, and I just feel like even Ant Edwards himself outplayed KD like severely. So I think, there's just a level that KD could bring it up to that he's just not going to right now. And KD in the past, I do believe, could have done that. So I'm gonna leave KD at number 4. I know a lot of people are tight. Listen, I'm probably a little tight, but we're gonna leave KD at 4. At number 3, the reigning NBA champion off the Boston Celtics, we have Jayson Tatum, averaging 26.9 points per game, 8.1 rebounds, and 4.9 assists. He also made an all-star team, all-NBA first team, and he was obviously an NBA champion this year. Jayson Tatum, I feel like he also has added a lot of layers to his game. His rebounding has become very good. His assist work in the playoffs also skyrocketed. He was playmaking all over the place in the playoffs, but he honestly had to. Like I said, Jayson Tatum is at number 3, so we're just going to get that out of the way. Jayson Tatum is a great player, 26.9 points per game, amazing. In the playoffs, I was not impressed. I was not impressed at all. And I've been conflicted thinking about where I want to put Jayson Tatum since that point. Because Jayson Tatum, I continue to give superstar, top 5 player, top 6 player expectations. And then when we get down to it, he's playing shitty against the Miami Heat, who's an 8th seed, losing and not going to the finals. In the Eastern Conference Finals, we're not getting those awards. We're going to the finals and we're not able to put the ball in the goddamn hoop in any way, shape, or form. We're shooting like 13% from 3. We're shooting like 30-20s in the percentages in whole games. Like, I just can't get jiggy with that, JT. I feel like as a superstar, you can't do that, but that's fine, bro. That's fine. I think Jayson Tatum is just a tier under those guys. I feel like he's like right there. But there's just something that's not clicking. He has moments in the playoffs. He has the winning resume, but honestly, when it comes down to it, there's just certain points where it's like, damn, JT. Damn. There was not one player that I could pinpoint and say that you were better than everybody else. I feel like KP, Derek White, Jrue Holiday, Jaylen Brown, and Jayson Tatum were all equally as important in getting this ring than any individual player could have been. And that's fine from a team aspect, but when we're talking about the individual players, I just don't think Jayson Tatum did enough in that run for me to put him at any spot higher than this. He could have potentially been one given what he had the opportunity to do, but I don't think he executed that well in the playoffs. But still all-NBA first team, still the champion, still put up great numbers. So number 3 is where we're going to leave JT. I'm not a hater. Stop typing. At number 2, you might think it's Glaze. I got LeBron James at number 2. LeBron, I feel like, has shown you he can still do everything. Still literally do everything. 25.7 points per game, 7.3 rebounds per game, 8.3 assists per game. He made an all-star team, all-NBA third team. He shot 50, 40, 75 on one of his best three-point shooting years of his career. He went to the playoffs, and against the Nuggets, who were just going stupid against them. The Nuggets were just going crazy against them. He went crazy as well, and so did Anthony Davis. And LeBron led the playoffs in assists and steals. He only played 5 games, but either way, LeBron was super impressive, and everything I expected LeBron to be doing in a series like that, he was doing. Unfortunately, the Nuggets just have the Lakers number. The Lakers cannot beat the Nuggets for some reason. But either way, I think LeBron, he's just proven that he can do it, bro. He can still do it. He can still be effective. And I really do hope that the Lakers can come in and give him the assistance that he needs next season. I honestly think last year the loss was mostly due to bad coaching and bad shooting from the role players. I think D'Lo got super cold in the playoffs. They're asking guys to come off the bench like Spencer Dinwiddie and Gabe Vincent to come in and hit shots, and that's just never a good sign when you're reaching into the bottom of the bag to see who can give you some production. I don't think there's many players that you can say are better than him at any of these aspects, and those players that you can say is a better scorer. Is he a better rebounder and passer? If he's a better rebounder, is he a better assist man? Is he a better scorer? So I think LeBron, even at this point in his career, still deserves this spot. I had him outside for a little bit looking in, but I think LeBron has definitely creeped his way back into being in this top spot area, because LeBron has just been ridiculous these past couple of seasons, and especially last season in my opinion, and in the playoffs. I already know the Celtics fans are going crazy in my comments. It's fine. We're gonna get to the number one. At the number one spot, I have a guy who I can say is a better scorer and a better rebounder than LeBron in this point in his career. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo, an all-star this year, all-NBA first team, 30.4 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per game, 6.5 assists per game on some ridiculous defense. The only gripe I have with Giannis is that he hasn't been able to stay on the court. We haven't seen Giannis really play in the playoffs for 2 seasons, and I think that's very disappointing, considering Giannis is one of the best playoff performers, at least when he's not losing to the Heat. For some reason, when he ended up losing to the Heat, he plays like shit. Giannis is an easy 30-11 guy year-round. In the playoffs, in the regular season, in the finals, conference finals, whatever, Giannis is going to come out and give you his 100%. He's just a monster, bro. Nobody's been able to stop him. He's been consistently the best power forward and possibly the best player in the league for a number of years. Giannis has been the guy, or one of the guys in the NBA since around 2018, 2019, and he's just continuing to be dominant. 30 and 11 is dominant, absolutely. And people love to say Giannis has no bag. He only runs and dunks. You can't stop it. You cannot stop it. Nobody's been able to stop it. He's been doing this for a very, very long time. And the only person stopping Giannis at this point is, like I said, the Miami Heat or Giannis himself. Because when Giannis is on the court, he's an unstoppable force. I don't think the Pacers make it to the second round at all if Giannis plays. At all. I don't think they have a shot. Just the way that things turned out and the way I think they could have gone if Giannis played, I don't think it would have went like that. But Giannis number one. I don't think anybody should be surprised about that. If anything, you're surprised about KD, Tatum, and LeBron's order. And bro, that was the hardest portion I've had to rank since I started doing this series. It's just my video, man. You can have your rankings too. I'm just saying. It's just my opinion. I had to sit here and really think about that for a long while, and that's the conclusion I came to. I hope you liked the video. I know you disagreed. You can put what you disagreed with in the comment section down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.